Good Saturday evening, South Carolina Weather Watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Tristan Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about tonight. We obviously will talk about the weather for tonight. Talk about the weather for tomorrow. Current conditions, all that kind of stuff. But before we get into the what's on tap, if you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so right now as I go on and look. We have a couple people in here right now, and if I go in and check out the exact likes right now, seems like we are at. I'm just taking a little bit of a second here to load up. Yeah, we're on a good 2 likes. So if you're a part of the group that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. You can change your mind at any time. Also, make sure you go and hit the subscribe button. We're at 706, trying to get to 894. Yes, 94 subscribers away. Until we get to that main goal of 800 subscribers. We're getting there. Also, we are 19 away from the quarter of the way goal, that being of 725. So, we're going to talk about that. And then also make sure you go hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people they don't even talk to like that, because it is very important that you do so. Getting this information out to people who need it. To people who might not even watch the weather that much, just go on and share it to them so they know what is expected. So now let's go on and see what's going on in terms of what's on tap for tonight, because we do in fact have a good amount of stuff to talk about. Obviously, number one being that we're going to talk about tonight, transition to widespread rain as we go throughout tonight into early Sunday. Widespread rain with conditional severe potential in the southern areas. Rainfall expectation generally between a half an inch to an inch beneficial rainfall. And then Monday onward, dry and warm, and a major warm up mid to late week. So those are just some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the current conditions right now as we currently speak. Well, right now, we want to look at the radar. Do in fact have some rainfall. Looks like, just for the most part, just like some isolated shower activity goes on all the way over here near near Anderson, near Belton, near Liberty, 6 Mile, and Clemson. And then rainfall also down here near Snelling, South Carolina as well. If we go on and scroll our way out, though, you see that we have a lot of stuff going on. We have rainfall, and some of that may actually be some snowfall as well. Let's check it out. But I think, yeah, all of it's just rainfall going on in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. Also going on over here inside of Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, all receiving some rainfall. And even some severe weather inside of Texas going into western Louisiana. There's even a tornado warning out right now over here for Leesville, Louisiana, heading just towards the east, or just towards the west of Alexandria. So a lot of stuff going on over there. Also, we do have some rainfall and some snowfall ongoing, some up here inside the Pacific Northwest. So for the most part, outside of them and the areas down here, dry. Maybe some snowfall up there inside the Northeast as well, up there near Maine. But now let's go and look at our cloud cover. Well, cloud cover right now actually seems to be pretty heavy. We have cloud cover going on throughout the upstate, the Midlands, the low country, even the PD areas as well. If you go on and look at your cloud cover for the future, you want to push this forward. We start off here at 9 o'clock going into 10 o'clock p.m. You push this forward all the way through to 2 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m., however far out you may want to go. And we still see cloud cover all of tomorrow, and that's not too much of a shock. Getting to 2 o'clock p.m., still cloud cover ongoing, to 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And we still see cloud cover all the way into tomorrow night. Now, as we move our way forward even more, here's Monday, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe seeing some fog trying to develop, especially up there inside of the upstate a little bit as you go into Monday morning. But here's like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. here. And we have cloud cover going on throughout the Midlands, the low country, the PD areas as well. And then as you go in and push this forward, even more, still cloud cover going into Monday afternoon. That goes into Monday evening or so. So cloud cover will still be pretty prominent even as we go throughout this weekend, but going even early next week as well. So cloud cover will not be leaving us. Current temperatures right now, you have around a good 45 in Somerville, 51 in Charleston, as well as 51 in Beaufort, 53 in Hilton Head Island, as well as a good 47 in Georgetown, 51 in Murray's Inlet, as well as a good 48 in Myrtle Beach, 43 in Conway, as well as a good 47 in Sumter, 49 in Orangeburg, and 52 in Aiken, 48 in Columbia, and 46 in Florence, 45 in Hartsville, as well as a good 48 in Lancaster and Newberry, 49 inside of Greenwood, and 51 in Lawrence, 50 Greenville, 50 also inside of Spartanburg and Gaffney, York, 52 in Anderson. Air quality for tonight, we do in fact have a little moderate area right now going on that is mainly in between that good and that unhealthy for sensitive groups area. Includes all the upstate, goes into like the Western Midlands, the PD areas, and we do have some clear spots here and there. Like, look at that huge clear spot right there in like Columbia, for example. So a lot of things to look at, but for the most part, nothing that we're not used to. Low temperatures for tonight. Actually going to be pretty warm tonight. It is in the 40s. Obviously, it is in the 40s, but definitely not as cold as it has been. 44 in Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hill. 43 in Cheraw. 44 in Florence, as well as 46 in Myrtle Beach. 44 in Georgetown, as well as a good 43 in Kingstree. 45 in Sumter. 46 in Columbia, Orangeburg, Barnwell. 46. 47 in Walterboro. 49 in Charleston. 53 in Hilton Head Island. High temperatures for tomorrow. You have around a good 53 in Greenville, 52 in Spartanburg, as well as a good 56 in Rock Hill, 56 Lawrence, and 61 inside of Newberry, Winsboro, 66 also inside of Columbia and Aiken, as well as 69 in Orangeburg, 66 also inside of Sumter, and 67 in Kingstree, 66 in Charleston, Georgetown, and then 62 in Myrtle Beach. Rainfall, as we go throughout the next 24 hours, look at this. Good amount of rainfall. You have a half an inch up to an inch possible for Greenville, for Spartanburg, for Rock Hill, for Anderson, Lawrence. I mean, just all these areas have around a good half an inch all the way up to an inch. Even as you go into some other areas like Columbia, quarter of an inch to half an inch. Florence, quarter of an inch to half an inch. Same thing for Dillon. Same thing for Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Georgetown, Moncks Corner. Maybe even another half an inch to an inch for Walterboro. And then somebody like Kingstree can see potentially just a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch. But one thing that we can see by this map is everyone is going to see at least a tenth of an inch. That's what it seems like for the official forecast throughout the next 24 hours. Everyone will at least see a tenth of an inch of rainfall, everybody throughout the state. So I would definitely say expect rainfall, especially as we go into tomorrow. And we'll look at the models and all that kind of stuff. Now for the crazy score. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is throughout the entire state of South Carolina. And it's the same as this morning. For the most part, if I go in and scroll up real quick and find it, there it is. Mostly cloudy, developing overnight with a slight chance of very light showers or sprinkles late, higher after around 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning in the western/upstate area, which we're already seeing some sprinkles going on right now throughout the state. Now, winds are going to be pretty light, so that really won't affect it that much. Temperatures, going to be pretty mild as well, so that also what kind of puts us inside that mild category. No significant hazards, patchy fog, anything like that. But not like widespread. I mean, patchy fog could potentially be possible in some valleys late if precipitation stays light, but no widespread fog or visibility issues for the most part. So that's what we're just looking at. Nothing else really for us to talk about. Now, what's going on in terms of the SPC outlook? Thunderstorms are not expected for today, but tomorrow, 2-hour surprise. There is now a marginal risk of severe weather. I was harping saying, I don't think that severe weather was going to be possible, and I wasn't the only one saying that. But I guess models have changed up. We'll look at it in just a second and see what they look like. But they have now added a little isolated marginal risk of severe weather now over here for the western parts of the state. Now, it's really just for like Aiken, over there near Allendale, near Still, near Hampton. Those areas over there are inside that marginal risk of severe weather. Now, what is it for? Well, it's for damaging wind risk, so isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour is possible. But the other threat actually is a little low tornado threat. Yeah, a little low tornado threat is possible as we go throughout, that being tomorrow. So just something to look for there. Just something to go on and look for. If I go on and look at it right here, Go to the slight risk for tomorrow. Yeah, a little tornado threat. Only a 2%, so very, very low. Then as we go into Monday, nothing going on here for Monday, so we're good in terms of thunderstorm activity, fire weather, nothing going on there. But excessive rainfall tomorrow. Isolated flash flooding is definitely a possibility. Now, you remember kind of yesterday it was more kind of scrunched up in that center part of the state. Now it's looking like it's more towards parts of the upstate now. Now the low country, still not really in that area too much, but isolated flash flooding is still possible up there for the upstate, for the Midlands, for the PD areas as well, for the western low country as well. Just that's what we're looking at as we go into tomorrow for isolated flash flood risk. Now, if we go in and look at the models, because obviously that is pretty important to go in and look at, we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. tonight. As we go in and push this forward, you can see for the most part, there goes that isolated shower activity that I was talking about. You have that isolated activity going on from the west, going into the central U.S. Even as you go into 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, you are still seeing just isolated showers. Nothing too crazy. The main system is still over there, going through Mississippi, going through Alabama. They're getting, those heavy storms, heavy rainfall. And then we finally start to see some rainfall really by the time we get to around 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, we start to see almost widespread coverage over the upstate, almost widespread throughout the northern Midlands, even parts of the central Midlands as well. But like I said, that rainfall just takes a step from, 25 to 100 real quick. Just at 7 a.m. is what it looks like, and this is what it looks like at 9 a.m. So a huge step up as we go throughout those next 2 hours from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, if we go in and continue to push this forward even more, again, the entire upstate now is covered. You even see a whole combustion of rainfall down there inside of the low country as well. The Tri-County areas, to be specific, in Dorchester, Berkeley, and Charleston County by around, 9 to 10-ish, maybe close to 11-ish, but that's what we're looking at, and then it'll kind of merge together and kind of push that moisture off now into the PD and the Grand Strand areas where they will start to receive that rainfall going into noon tomorrow, maybe a bit earlier than that. You continue this forward all the way to 2 o'clock p.m., 3 o'clock p.m., 4 o'clock, and, you're just seeing rainfall going throughout almost the entire state by the time you get into some of these afternoon hours. And so you're 6 o'clock p.m. going into 7 o'clock p.m., and now you start to see that rainfall starting to leave throughout the western parts of the state. You go all the way to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock p.m., all the way to 10 to 11 o'clock p.m., and now it's out of there. Now it's kind of moving its way out, and we start to clear up a lot. As you go to around 12 o'clock in the morning, going to 1 o'clock a.m., and then it's gone, by that time frame. You go all the way to 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's out. And we are dry all the way throughout to 7 o'clock p.m. Monday night. So, that's pretty much your whole breakdown of the system. If you, want to know the timing of your specific area, let me know. I'll let you know what's the specific time frame that you should be looking out for rainfall activity for you. But if we go on now, I do want to go on and look at the totals throughout this entire system. We're just going to look at the HRRR real quick. And then we're just going to go throughout total, precipitation. And it brings a good amount. It shows an inch up there near Greenville, near Spartanburg, near also over there near Anderson, maybe even near Columbia, and shows potentially even some isolated spots up to 2 to 2.5 inches of rainfall. Maybe, around a good 6/10 of an inch, more than half an inch in Charleston, close to a half an inch in Myrtle Beach. Same thing inside of Sumter and Florence, half an inch over there inside of Augusta. And then even as you move down here towards like the coastal low country areas, maybe getting to around an inch or so. And so that's just from one model, obviously. If we go on and look at the NAM 3-kilometer model, the NAM 3-kilometer model goes all the way through Monday at 3 a.m. Shows definitely a lot less, but the NAM 3-kilometer model, especially on yesterday, didn't show that much in terms of rainfall for the low country. I don't think it's really too sold on that rainfall throughout this area from, the low country out towards the PD and the Grand Strand areas. It's not too sold on it. Not too sold on it at all. So we'll continue to watch for it and see what happens. But I think for the most part, that we have to just continue to kind of just see and observe this as well with the actual National Weather Service themselves, because they also have their own forecast. Let me go throughout the next 48 hours. That goes through Monday, and then we're going to move on over towards the south and east. Yeah, here we go right here. For the most part, I mean, more than a half an inch for everybody. Shows around 7/10 of an inch for Columbia, close to an inch over there for Greenville, in Anderson, Spartanburg. And so, again, this is not a model. This is from the official National Weather Service through the official Weather Prediction Center. So this is their official forecast. And they show, for the most part, like I said, not really any rain, not as much rainfall as the HRRR was showing. But kind of mixing it, because it's not as low as the NAM 3 kilometer model, but it's not as high as the HRRR. So it's kind of taking that middle route. Probably looking at a conglomeration of models together and kind of mixing it together also with their opinion, what they think about it. And so that probably is what adds all of this up together. But that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the totals for this system. I do want to go and look at the severe weather risk as well. See, the ingredients, all that kind of stuff. Go on and look at the dew points first. One of the first things I always look at is the dew points, because, without those dew points being high, I mean, we shouldn't even be talking about a system, really. But if you go on and push this forward, you can... Oh, this is the NAM 3 kilometer mile. Let me go to the HRRR. Here it is. I mean, you go on and push this forward. I mean, yeah, that moisture is there. You're seeing moisture up into the 60s. That's what you want to. That's what you want to see if you want to see severe weather. But the moisture is there, so that is something to look at. There goes the cold front trying to come in right after it. But as that gets there, you go on and want to look at potentially the height as well. That supports a tornado risk, especially if it's kind of cranking. But if it's like more linear like this, it may have some gusty wind, damaging wind within. That's why tomorrow will be a bit of a breezy day, because we will have these winds and knots up into the 50 to 60 mile per hour, not mile per hour, but the knot range. And so, it kind of pushes its way through. And you can see this is definitely cranking up some winds with it. Even in front of the system, I mean, it has some, definitely does have some winds in front of it as well. And so finally, one of the main things is CAPE. That's the fuel. That's the fuel and stuff that you need. And you can see that the fuel is there. I mean, this is a lot more than what we were seeing, just a couple of days ago when I was talking about, what's going on in terms of severe weather. Will there be any severe weather? This is a lot more CAPE. I mean, you're seeing CAPE all the way from the Midlands to the Low Country to the PD and the Grand Strand areas. I mean, if you click on one over here near Williamsburg County, this is right here, it has marginal severe. You can't see it, but it says marginal severe at the bottom right. So, there is potentially a possibility that they might expand that marginal risk even more. It's a possibility. You look over here, I see a 475. I see a 519 joules per kilogram here. And so, I mean, I just keep on seeing marginal severe, and stuff like that. Now, if I look at the actual STP, the significant tornado parameters, it doesn't really show anything strong, we're not expecting high-end tornadoes or anything like that. If a tornado was to happen, it would be relatively on the weaker side, because the environment's not really that primed for, a huge tornado to happen. But let me see, I think they might have the significant tornado parameters, which they do. And I mean, you see a score of up to a 0.4. There at the bottom, if you go on and kind of see where my cursor is, it's kind of around right here. So if you see where my cursor is down here at the bottom left side of the screen, this is where the 0.4 is. So, definitely not that high. Not that high at all. And when I look at it, that says marginal tornado. So that's why we have that tornado risk tomorrow. That's why we have that severe weather risk tomorrow. To make sure that you're prepared for it, just in case you get that severe weather warning, just in case you get a special weather statement, or if you get that tornado warning. You never know. Make sure you have that plan and stuff in place for tomorrow, just in case. But that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about there. And let's go on and talk about the long-term future, because that's also pretty important. So we're going to, go kind of after the system. We start off here, Monday evening, fresh. You want to push this forward. High pressure takes over. We're dry Monday evening. We're dry Tuesday. Guess what? Wednesday, we're dry. Thursday, for the most part, we're dry. Friday, I mean, we have maybe some isolated to scatter shower activity, maybe trying to get in on Friday. A little bit of a system, maybe trying to move in like early Saturday morning of next weekend. But again, most likely looks like that this week will be a very dry week. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow, when we talk about the averages and stuff like that. And we'll see how much rainfall we'll get next week, what's in the forecast. But for right now, looking like next week's going to be a pretty dry week. Even as you go on and push this forward even more. I mean, you see like a cold front moving through going into next weekend, bringing us some more cooler conditions next weekend. So that's something to look out for. And then we'll kind of try to warm back up as we get into like later, not next week, but the week after. Because today's Saturday, so I consider tomorrow, Monday to be next week. But I mean the week after, so that would be going into the 23rd, 24th, 25th-ish or so. But everything else past this point, I mean, it's just way too far out to talk about. Now, if we go in and look at our temperatures, because that's also important, we're going to go in first and start off by looking at the anomalies. Well, starting off here at around the, let's do Sunday 1 a.m. mark. Sunday 1 a.m. mark. If you go in and push this forward, for the most part, I mean, you're seeing, higher than average temperatures, but, over there in the west. But you're not really seeing too much in terms of higher than average over here inside of South Carolina. It's not really until you get a bit further. We start to see some cooler air starting to move through as we go through Sunday. But it stays relatively just average as we go throughout the weekend. Not really too above average in terms of temperatures, not really too below average, just normal temperatures for what we would see during this time of year is what we are expecting as we go throughout this weekend. Now, if you go into early next week, still just near normal. It's not really until we get to around next week, like the midweek, going into Wednesday on the 18th, going into the 19th. I mean, we're seeing temperatures up to 15 to 20 degrees above average as we go into next week, and especially as we move throughout Friday. I mean, we're seeing temperatures potentially 20 to 25 degrees above average as we go into next week, especially as we go into like the late part of next week. Now, unfortunately, it won't last that long. I mean, we may see temperatures even close to 30 degrees above average as we go into like next weekend. So, very good stuff if you are a weather fan. A major warm up is on the way. But that cold front will move through, and that will knock us right back down as we get into Sunday going into Monday. We actually will be below average. I mean, we'll be 15 to 20 degrees below average once we get past, next weekend, going into the week after next week. So, just a huge flip is about to occur. I mean, you're even seeing temperatures down there, like in Florida, like 20 to 30 degrees below average. But a huge flip will occur as we get into next week. But we got to talk about this warm-up first. Well, we got to talk about the system first and the severe weather for tomorrow. But for the most part, after this system is done, warm temperatures are coming back. They are coming back. And if we want to look at the actual temperatures, I know, a bit too far out. Well, let's go and look at the ensembles and see what the ensembles say for it. We're going to go on over here. We're going to look at the GEFS real quick. And we're going to start off here. Sunday. That is not what I want. This is what I want. So this is the mean. This pretty much just adds all the temperatures from all the model runs together. And if you go on all the way through Sunday, going to Monday, but I really just want to get past this and go all the way into Thursday. I mean, you're seeing temperatures in the 70s as you get into Thursday. You get all the way into Friday. You're seeing temperatures in the mid to potentially upper 70s for some spots as you go into Friday of next week. You go into Saturday, things start to calm back down as that, cold front makes its way through next weekend. But, I mean, just notice how warm it's going to get as we get into later parts of next week. Now, even as we get into Thursday, we'll still be in the 70s, we'll still be in the 60s, and for the low country, PD, Grand Strand areas, we'll still be in the 70s on Wednesday. Tuesday we'll be in the 60s, but not too crazy. And even if we go on and look at the official forecast from the National Weather Service in terms of their actual temperature, we're going to go into day 1 first, and we're going to zoom down here inside the southeast. And actually, I got an even better idea. Why don't I just do this? Go back over here and go to the official site. I mean, we're going and look at Wednesday first. Here's Wednesday. I mean, you're seeing high temperatures up into the 70s for a lot of us, mid 70s for a good amount of us as well. Even some high 60s in the upstate coastal areas. Then you move on over into Thursday. You're seeing mid to high 70s as well for a lot of us and everybody pretty much for the most part, except for some coastal areas. Myrtle Beach may only be at 69, but for the most of us, for the better part of us, being in the 70s. And then as you go into Friday, possibly being one of the warmest days, we're seeing 70s, maybe even. I mean, I see a lot of 79s. I would not be shocked one bit if somebody got up to 80 degrees on Friday. Would not be shocked one bit if somebody got up to 80 degrees going into Friday. And then Saturday, like, it starts to calm back down. And also, if you want to look at our low temperatures, I mean, low temperatures, for example, on Thursday night, only like 59. Only 59 for a good amount of areas. 59, 58, 57. So that's all that I have to say in terms of our long-term future. A lot of good stuff to look at, but let's go ahead and get through this weekend and look at this severe weather and all that kind of stuff tomorrow. And then, once we're done with this, we can really break this stuff down, even though pretty much this already was pretty much broken down. But we really can focus on this. But I want to get through this severe weather portion tomorrow in these normal temperatures as we get throughout this weekend. So let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, we have Mr. Chris here. He says, "Good evening, everyone. I hope you had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for asking." Violet Lula also says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." Then, let me go ahead and scroll this up. There you go. Mr. Chris says, "Currently it's 47 degrees here inside of Moncks Corner." Well, thank you so much for that weather update. Currently at my house, it is around a good, let me go ahead and do this real quick. Boom. There we go. Nope. 49. So it's around 49 at my house right now. He also said that it was very nice today. Got to 62. My Aunt Lula says it also got to around 59 near her house. So I think mine's going to be in the middle. We'll see what happens, though. Because usually it is either it's in the middle or it's a little bit above. So if I go in and click on my weather station, go to the history, 62. So same, actually, as Mr. Chris. So not too far off. I actually did get some pretty gusty conditions up to around, 18, 19-ish miles per hour. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. My Aunt says, hopefully everyone had a beautiful day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris says, also, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button if you have not already. If you have not already, also go and hit the share button. Share with everyone that you know. It's free, and you can change your mind anytime. He's absolutely correct. Right now, we have around a good, 14 people that have tuned in and only 10 likes. So if you're a part of the 4 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. Continue our way down. Maya Lewis says currently in Georgetown it's 42 degrees. Well, thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris says, I'm not looking forward to this rain coming not looking forward to this rain coming. I have a small house repair I need to get done. Well, hopefully, if you can kind of get something in place to where it won't really affect it that much, something that you can just use it like temporarily to go in and get it done. That would be good. I don't know what the repair is, so I don't know what to really say for that in terms of advice. But whatever it is, hopefully it doesn't mess with it too much. It truly was a nice sunny day today. It was. My Nana says, hello, Jay. I am here. Beautiful, busy day. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that comment. Hello to you. And then also, continue our way down, my Aunt Shirley comes in and says, good evening and happy Valentine's Day and blessings to all. Well, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. Continue our way down even more. My Aunt Lou says, in Georgetown early morning, we had a lot of frost. I said last night there was going to be some frost that we were looking at. Same thing this morning as well. So, some frost definitely did hit. Didn't really hit at my house, though. Not that I really saw. So, really just in some other areas. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. That says, good evening, Joseph, and the 360 Weather family. Good evening to you. Happy Valentine's Day to all the ladies. I sure hope you had an awesome day. It was a very beautiful rainy day here in San Antonio. I'm currently at dinner with my lovely wife. Well, thank you so much for tuning in with us, even though you are at dinner. I do appreciate that a lot. And then, Mr. Chris says how much Cape is there. Well, we talked about the Cape a bit earlier, but there is, I saw around a good 500-ish or so, maybe maxing out around 550-ish or so if I was to take a guess. And then my Aunt Lewis says I'll take that 70 degrees. I will as well. Very, very excited for that. But that's all I have to say throughout the audience. So let's go on now and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations? What in the world am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. Starting off with San Antonio first, low temperatures tonight around 57, high temperatures tomorrow at around 77, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 50. Precipitation not expected at this time, so you will not have to watch for any sort of precipitation as you go throughout today, tonight, and tomorrow. In fact, you probably won't see any precipitation through all of next week, for the most part. Unless things change, right now, looks like that you will be fine. You also will have some gusty conditions up to around 20 miles per hour tonight and tomorrow, so watch out for that. But, it's only 20 miles per hour. That shouldn't really do anything too major. And so that's all I have to say in terms of that. In terms of your future, looks like that you will continue to warm up. Tuesday and Wednesday up to 85-ish degrees. Thursday up to 87. May reach close to 90. We'll see if you reach 90. Some models were saying that, you get to 88, 89. But I've not seen a direct 90 yet. So we'll continue to watch and see whatever you get to. And then no severe weather, no excessive rainfall no severe weather for every location. We do have an area for some excessive rainfall, though. We'll talk about that in just a second, because we're about to go talk about Raleigh, North Carolina. Low temperatures tonight around 42, high temperatures tomorrow around 55, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 44. Precipitation, not expected for tonight, but tomorrow there will be some rainfall. Mainly it's going to be afternoon. That's like the main time frame, but do not be surprised if you saw some showers in the morning, though, because it will jump. You have a 40% chance in the morning, and then it will jump up to a 100% chance as soon as you get to the afternoon time frame. Now, even if you go into Sunday night as well, same thing. Rain is expected, 100% chance. So it's gonna be a rainy Sunday tomorrow for you. For your temperatures, you will be going up. Tuesday 64, Wednesday 69, Thursday 74, 76 on Friday. So your temperatures will be going up. I mean, you might even be trying to reach 80 degrees as well as you go into the end part of next week. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of excessive rainfall, you do in fact have a risk for tomorrow. Tomorrow, isolated flash flooding is possible. So, just watch out for some isolated flash flooding, some minor flooding in some areas. Rather it be, ponding up a little bit instead of a parking lot or on the roadways or stuff like that. Just watch out for it. Now, in terms of the next area, that being Philadelphia, low temperatures tonight at around 27, high temperatures tomorrow at 41, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 32. Precipitation not expected tonight, but there will be some patchy freezing fog. So what does that mean? Not only will it be foggy, but it will also be freezing, which means that there may be some moisture on the ground, which may make the roads a bit slick tonight. So make sure that you're watching out for that. And not only for tonight, but also for tomorrow. Patchy freezing fog again is there. And so that comes with a 30% chance of rainfalls tomorrow. So watch for that. That's mainly going to be after around 3 o'clock p.m. And then for Sunday night, rain and snow is expected. It's going to be a mix. In fact, it will turn from rain to snow all the way to just direct snow. So, once you get to around that 10 to 11 o'clock p.m. time frame, that's when it's just going to change to all snow. Now, it looks like, snow accumulation is only going to be around an inch or two. So, nothing too crazy, but something just to watch for. Now, if we go on now and look at your future, looks like for the most part that you will be also kind of just staying stagnant. You're not really going to go up or high too much. Your low temperatures may try to get to around 35, 40-ish degrees, but your high temperatures are still only going to be in the 40s, so it's not really going to change too much. Maybe 53 on Thursday. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight around 49, high temperatures tomorrow at 68, and then low temperatures tomorrow night, that should be 41. Let me go in and fix that real quick. There it is. Showers are likely. Showers are likely as you get into tonight, but tomorrow, okay, I can see something definitely happen here. Tomorrow, no precipitation is expected. Tomorrow and tomorrow night, so make sure that you are prepared for potential shower activity tonight, but tomorrow, you're going to be good. Severe weather and excessive rainfall is not expected. In fact, you're going to be nice. 81 on Tuesday, 76 on Wednesday, 75 on Thursday, so it will continue to just get warmer and warmer. Yeah, that's all I have to say throughout the entire 4 areas that we talk about outside of South Carolina. Now, what about the entire U.S., including South Carolina, including all those locations? What's the main headlines right now? Well, a storm system will bring heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, and flooding threats to portions of the southern plains today, the lower Mississippi Valley on Saturday, and then the southeast into the mid-Atlantic on Sunday. Another Bering system will impact the Alaskan west coast and central interior through the weekend, brings moderate to heavy snow, high winds, and some blizzard conditions. So we have a lot of stuff going on. I'm pretty sure actually that's just the same message that I said yesterday. So pretty much nothing really has changed from yesterday. Still the same thing. Some dense fog definitely will be a bit of a concern in parts of northwestern Minnesota as well as eastern North Dakota. Also, we will see some a little winter storm going on over there in California. Especially once you get into like the mountains of around from 2,000 feet all the way up to around 3,500 feet, to where they may even see 4 to 8 feet of snow, with gusts of up to 45 miles per hour for some areas. So, very snowy conditions over there. Also, some fire weather will also be a bit of a concern from Colorado to Nebraska to South Dakota to Colorado. I already said Colorado, meant Wyoming, and then northwestern Kansas. And then we already talked about the severe weather. But severe weather right now going on inside of Louisiana right now, that, a tornado watch for pretty much most of Louisiana right now. So if you know anybody inside of Louisiana, let them know, check up on them, make sure that they are okay with all the stuff that's going on over there right now. And then after that, this is our day tomorrow for some severe weather, also, Georgia, Alabama, and some of these other areas as well. But that's all that I have to say. Make sure that you tune back in tomorrow morning for your Sunday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening as well. We will be here, and we will be talking about our week forecast as we continue to go throughout this perfect month, pretty much. Because, it starts on a Sunday, ends on a Saturday, goes from the 1st to the 7th. This week it was the 8th through the 14th. Next week will be the 15th going into the 21st. So, we will continue to go on and look at that. And then also, make sure that you go on and we're going to talk about next week's forecast tomorrow. And then also, as well, let's go on and check out the top fans of the night for tonight. Let me go on and check that out real quick. Starting off, seems like that, kind of the same competition that we've been having. But if I go on and make sure, because usually I like to go on and make sure, it's usually back and forth, so I can usually count them. That's 3, that's 3, that's 2, that's 3, yeah. Okay, so Mr. Chris is the winner for tonight for the top fans. My Aunt Lou is at number 2, and then Thad's at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. You have to be a subscriber. If you are not a subscriber, you won't be able to talk, and you will not be able to get that. Top fan spot. Also being active, that will also help you out. So let's go and give them a round of applause. That's all that I have. I don't see anything inside of my email, so I guess that we're done there. Mr. Chris says, everyone, please remember to stay safe, warm, and hydrated. Be careful, and talk later. Well, thank you so much for that. Sure will. And then, after that, I think that's about all. So remember, hit the like button if you have not already. You know, we have around a good 16 people tuned in, only 10 likes. Also, make sure you go hit the subscribe button if you're new. 706, trying to get to 800, 94 away from that main goal of 800. And then hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to like that, because it is very important that you do so. But I will be back tomorrow. Hit those two buttons before you leave if you're new.